In episodes 1 and 2, we established that the rabbis lacked authority to change the atonement system, but a high priest in the Melchizedek order would have that authority. Now we ask, when was this Messiah supposed to come? This is episode 3, the timeline problem. What if your scriptures gave you a deadline? What if they told you exactly when the Messiah had to appear? Daniel 9 verses 24 through 27 is one of the most precise prophecies in the Bible. It gives a specific time frame for the Messiah's arrival, and it creates a problem Judaism cannot solve. Daniel 9:24, 70 weeks are decreed about your people and your holy city, to finish transgression, to put an end to sin, and to atone for iniquity. 70 weeks. In Hebrew, this is 70 sevens. Most scholars agree this means 70 weeks of years. 70 times 7 equals 490 years. Verse 25. From the decree to restore and build Jerusalem to the coming of an anointed one, a prince, there shall be 7 weeks. Then for 62 weeks it shall be built again. 7 weeks plus 62 weeks equals 69 weeks. That is 483 years from a decree to rebuild Jerusalem until the Messiah comes. Then verse 26, after the 62 weeks an anointed one shall be cut off, and the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Read that carefully. After the Messiah comes, he will be cut off. Cut off means killed. Then the city and temple will be destroyed. Here is the timeline. A decree to rebuild Jerusalem. 483 years later, the Messiah appears. The Messiah is killed. Then Jerusalem and the temple are destroyed. Historical fact, the Romans destroyed Jerusalem and the temple in 70 CE. This is undisputed. So according to Daniel 9, the Messiah had to come before 70 CE, not after. Before. The sequence is clear. Messiah comes, is killed, then temple destroyed. That sequence already happened. And it happened in the 1st century. Judaism has responses to this. Let me address them. Response 1. The timeline does not point to the 1st century. The decree to rebuild Jerusalem is usually identified as Cyrus in 538 BCE, Artaxerxes in 457 BCE, or Nehemiah in 445 BCE. Calculate 483 years from any of these using prophetic years of 360 days, and you land around the time of Jesus in the 1st century. The point is not exact years. The point is, the prophecy clearly places the Messiah before 70 CE. Response 2. The anointed one in verse 26 is not the Messiah, but just an anointed person like a king or priest. Dishonest. The text uses the same word Mashiach in both verse 25 and 26. If it means Messiah in verse 25, it means Messiah in verse 26. Response 3. The 70 weeks are symbolic, not literal. If symbolic, what do they symbolize? Why give specific numbers? 7 weeks, 62 weeks, 1 week? If symbolic, why the precision? The text treats this as a literal timeline, and history confirms it. Response 4. This passage is about Antiochus Epiphanes, who desecrated the temple in 167 BCE. But the text says the city and sanctuary will be destroyed. Antiochus desecrated the temple but did not destroy it. The Romans destroyed it in 70 CE. The prophecy looks forward to a future destruction, not a past desecration. Here is the problem Judaism cannot escape. Daniel 9 places the Messiah before the temple destruction in 70 CE. It has been almost 2,000 years since that destruction. If you are still waiting for the Messiah, you are waiting for someone who, according to your own prophecy, should have already come. You can argue about the exact year. You can debate the math. But you cannot escape the sequence. Messiah comes, is killed, temple destroyed. That sequence already happened in the 1st century. If a man came in the 1st century, was killed, and 40 years later the temple was destroyed exactly as Daniel predicted, would you consider he might have been the Messiah? Jesus was born in Bethlehem, from David's line, performed signs and wonders, killed in Jerusalem. 40 years later in 70 CE, the temple destroyed. The timeline fits. The prophecy fits. The sequence fits. Maybe you are not waiting for the Messiah to come. Maybe you are waiting to acknowledge the Messiah who already came. Next episode, how the Messiah was supposed to be consecrated, with water, spirit, and blood as witnesses. That is episode 4. Questions? Drop them below or DM me. See you next time. Jesus fulfilled every requirement by your own law.